check, good. So I'm Max Duran, CWB Association Welding podcast. Today we have a really cool guest, Welding podcast.
The show is about to begin.
Hello and welcome to another edition of this special series of the CWB Association podcast. What's so special about it is that we have been interviewing the executive directors from all the different provinces and territories across Canada for the Skills National Competencies competition in Regina, Saskatchewan. Now, we did as many as we could in person, live on the floor, but Tawny, we couldn't get you in, so we got you here online, coming into us from PEI, where I hear it's a heat wave. Happy to have you here, Tawna MacLeod.
Thanks so much for having me, Max. I was super bummed not to be able to join you guys when we were in Regina, but sometimes with those teams, boy, you just never know how your day's going to play out. So,
well, I heard there was, a little fires and things going on all the time, and that's expected. Yep. How was your overall impression of the Regina Skills?
Overall, it was a great competition. It was a great venue. The volunteers, all our volunteers really enjoyed having the space that we had in Regina. We had some great local volunteers from the city of Regina. My competitors themselves had a really fabulous event and really great things to say about it.
That's awesome. Now, for yourself, before we get into the bones and the broth here of what skills is like for PEI, at the national level, let's talk a little bit first about your track and pathway into the executive director position. I've worked with skills for almost 20 years myself in some capacity or another, and I've always loved the stories of all the people that get involved because they come from everywhere. So let's start with where you're from. What's your roots? Where are you born? Where do you call home?
Born and raised on PEI. Born and raised and have never left. So this has been home for, well, I'm not going to tell you my age, Max, but quite a number of years.
At least 25 years. At least 25 years. And,
yeah.
Growing up in PEI, was there much focus in your young life about skills and the trades and all this conversation that we're a part of now?
Oh, God, no. I went to school. I don't even think, Max, in my high school that we had an industrial arts program, but there was no specific focus on anything like welding or carpentry or any of the typical trades. And it wasn't actually until I started working with our local community college way back in 1998. And you may remember this, Max. The college built a welding school down in Georgetown, Prince Edward Island back in 1998.
Yes.
And I started working with those programs at that time.
And in what capacity? What was your role back then?
I was managing programs, working as an office manager. So I was doing a little bit of everything. At one point, I wrote curriculum for our commercial diving, underwater welding commercial diving program. So I did a little bit of everything for about 10 years down there.
That's amazing. And how did you get into that sphere of the trades? Were you... Like, what was it that you went to college to study and do?
Well, I went to college. I have a business degree, and really sort of just fell into it, Max. Like, I didn't go out thinking, okay, I want to do ABC. It was, I was really young. One of my first jobs, fresh out of university college, and it was in 98, 99 that PEI first started doing provincial competitions. And welding was one of the first competitions that we did way back when.
It's interesting because I've heard that story in a few provinces now that welding's kind of the first introductory competition for the national or even provincial levels, which is, strange to hear because it's probably one of the most expensive to get into. When you think of all the other ones.
It is, and it's one of our most expensive competitions to run, for sure.
So,
So, yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure why the provinces focused on that initially. Like, I think our first year that and I was working with the college at the time back in '98, but I think in '98, Skills Canada PEI may have hosted 4 competitions that year,
mhm,
and welding, of course, being one of them.
that's amazing. And the growth now is incredible. So before we get ahead of ourselves, so you start helping out with the college, you start getting involved with the trades. I believe in that area, Holland College was likely where you're working, and now that's not all colleges get involved with skills, but some do,
No,
right?
no.
So what opened your eyes to this world of skills when you were working with the college?
Well, I have a bit of a different road path to
Mm-hmm.
skills. In 2009, PEI hosted the national competition, first and only time that they've hosted.
Mm-hmm.
And the executive director at that time went out on sick leave suddenly, very suddenly.
Oh, unfortunate.
And so in January of that year, I was working with the college, and the board of directors of Skills Canada PEI came to me because they knew I had been involved in the welding and some of the trades programs in Georgetown,
Mm-hmm.
and asked if I would step in as an interim executive director, host provincials for 2009, and help pull off that national event in May of 2009. So
That's a
talk
pretty
about
short.
trial by
Yeah,
fire.
that's a short runway. That's a short runway to get the plane off the ground.
Yeah, yeah. So I did it. I'm not sure yet how I did it. I couldn't tell you how I did it, but I did it. And they still, some of the volunteers still talk about the event that we hosted back here in PEI way back when. So
Yeah. So the trial by fire for the interim position, which obviously became the forever position.
mhm.
After
Yep.
that first year of getting involved, what was it that kept you in?
Um, what was it that kept me in? Really, it was the kids.
Yeah.
It was the students. It was the uniqueness of the opportunity that the skills competitions gives to these young people. That's what kept me in it.
Mm-hmm. And you see kind of the best of the best from every area, right? And it's really wonderful. Um, one of the anecdotal things I always find is that when you work with people that don't work with kids, there's a lot of doom and gloom. They're always
Yep.
like, the future's gonna be disaster. These kids are no good. This generation doesn't know how to work. This generation can't do anything on their own. But let me tell you, I work on the other side. I taught in the colleges for a number of years and with skills now a long time, and they give me a lot of hope, these kids. I see a lot of bright futures and really great talents, and these national competitions, even provincially, how can you give up on the youth when you have a room of just incredibly ambitious
Superstars.
superstars? Exactly. At every trade, it's nothing. I Every time I come away from a skills competition, I'm like, we're fine. If
Oh
a-
yeah.
if anything, they're going to do all of this way better than we did, because all the problems in the world right now, it's us. It's us. Like, we got to get out of the way.
Exactly. Yeah. And like you said, we're dealing with kids that are really committed to what they're doing.
Mhm.
And whether that's welding or carpentry or whatever it may be, they're committed to being the best of the best.
Yeah, and for the right reasons.
Yep.
They're not necessarily in it for the money. I mean, that always comes around, but
Money
it
helps.
helps. But at that point in their lives, I feel like they're in it for the competition, for that
Yeah,
personal growth, right?
absolutely.
Now, you started off as ED. How long ago when was your first year as ED? 2009, you said?
So 2009. So yeah, I've been 16 years.
16 years. So in those 16 years, how has the PEI environment changed with skills? How much has it grown? How much more involved is it? How many more, areas do you guys compete in?
Okay, well, let me think back. In 2009, provincially, we had, I think, 68 provincial competitors that
Mm-hmm.
year. in 20 different competition categories.
Okay.
Then the national team that year had 18 students on it.
Okay.
This past competition cycle, our team, we had 36 kids on our national team. We had 320 kids compete provincially.
Wow.
And we competed in 35 different competition areas.
Now, that's just amazing. That's
It
amazing
is
growth.
amazing growth.
And it's not just PEI. Like, I mean, New Brunswick, Nova Scotia, Newfoundland, you guys are all killing it out there in the trades. It's
We're kind of rock stars,
kind of
Max,
rock
over here
stars.
on the
No,
East Coast.
it is. And I was out there for Atlantic Skills in New Brunswick a couple months ago. And of course, we hosted in Moncton our conference 2 years ago. And let me tell you, and there's something I touched with a couple other of the podcasts, because I'm from Saskatchewan. I grew up in Saskatchewan. It's my province. And out here in the West, there was always this kind of mentality of the Easterners come to us for the work. The Easterners come to us for the money. We're the hub of where it is if you're in the trades. But I feel like, especially going out east, spending time with tradespeople out there, that dialogue has changed. And that they're not thinking about leaving no more. It's about what's in our backyard to do.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. That and I see it even coming from the college when these students would graduate from the plumbing program, the welding program, and that was, you know, the top of mind. I'm going to graduate. I'm going to write my first block, and then I'm getting the heck out of here and heading west.
Yeah.
It's not the case anymore. More and more of these young people are sticking around home, which is great.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's wonderful.
Well, there's people out here in the West now. They're like, hey, maybe we should go out east. The cost of living isn't quite as high as it's gotten out here, and there's lots of work. You see companies like Irving that, if you're outside of the Maritimes, you don't really know what Irving is until you go, because they got a huge footprint. It's not just shipbuilding, it's everything, right?
Right.
You got other companies out there that are just taking off right now. Mining's coming back like it's never been before. I think it's all just gold stars out there right now.
Yeah, it looks bright. I'm excited about things that will happen over the next 10 years.
Now, in terms of your skills group, you've doubled in size for the amount of competitors and stuff. What about on the internal side? As the director for your skills province, how have you double the number of staff? Are you?
Not. It's a silly question, Max.
How are you guys doing all this amazing work? Like, how many of you are there in the office?
There's me, and I have a program director that works 75% with time with me. But I 100% credit our growth and our success to the volunteers that we have.
Yeah.
I have an incredible roster of volunteers who put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into pulling off provincial events and are committed to sharing their knowledge and their skills with young people. So it's 100% the volunteers.
Mm-hmm. And are you noticing with the volunteers that sort of cyclical effect that skills have? Like, I mean, we all joke about, skills is like the mafia, like once you're in, you can't get out.
Once you're in, you're in. You don't leave.
That's right. And do you find that your volunteers are in that boat, that they may have been past competitors or mentors or whatever it may be?
Oh, yeah, I would say so. We have provincial tech chairs for all our competition areas. So I would say out of those 40 chairs, 90% of them have been former competitors.
Yeah.
And, it's one of those tough things. You like to bring in new blood, but you really want to hang on to those ones that, they can pull off these competitions with their eyes closed and their hands tied behind their back. Right.
That's right.
So, yeah.
I just heard someone say to me, like, you don't want to turn away a steak, but you never throw out the beef jerky. It's
a perfect analogy. It's perfect.
Like, we're all looking for that nice fresh steak, but beef jerky goes a long way. So
yeah.
Now,
it's absolutely true.
You see the people, get that love and that commitment to the skills network, we'll call it. where they compete, they mentor, then they volunteer, they become NTCs, PTCs. They go through this whole journey within skills. What is it that you think that brings them back? What is it, that special sauce that makes the people want to stay and be a part of this? Because it can be a lot of work. It can be a
Oh,
lot
it's
of
a ton
work.
of work.
Yeah.
It's a ton of work. I think nationally, it's a couple of things. It's the excitement of that national competition, right?
Right.
Just the event itself.
Uh-huh.
It's the networking that being a volunteer, a national volunteer, gives these PTCs and NTs, National Technical Chair Committees,
Mm-hmm.
like the opportunity, to spend a week with their peers from across Canada
That's right.
doing the thing that they love doing,
Mm-hmm.
right? Even though it is doing it 14-hour days without pay on a volunteer basis.
Yeah. Well, at least you get
Um,
sandwiches for free.
free sandwiches, free sandwiches. It may or may not be a good sandwich, but
Yeah.
it's free at least.
Well, and it's so interesting to me watching that networking piece of it. Like, I mean, there's a reason the CWB group decided to become silver sponsors to Skills, and it wasn't just to like give money to another organization that's like-minded, because we're kind of in the same boat for a lot of things when it comes to the steel trades. But it's more about our members are also your members. So why are we
Right.
not playing in the same sandbox? So many of my chapter chairs and chapter volunteers across Canada are the same volunteers that are working with skills and are working with mentors. And I was like, why am I making them choose between two events? Why don't we just attend the same one? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Because it is that desire to, just hang out with the other people in your profession that are also at the kind of the top of their game in their community, and just bounce things off the wall with each other,
Yeah. Absolutely. Learn, what
Mm-hmm.
they're doing in Regina and what they're doing in Newfoundland and all of those things. It's a very unique opportunity for volunteers.
Mm-hmm.
And companies like the CWB, if you've been around Skills, you've seen how the partnerships have grown
Mm-hmm.
with the national event over the last 10, 15 years. So I think more and more companies and organizations are realizing that this event, in its uniqueness, is one of a kind and something really that they'd be foolish not to take advantage of
Well, it's
by
like
being part of it.
it's like the Olympics, but better because everyone's employable. Right? Like, I love the Olympics, and God bless the fastest swimmer in the world, but I don't know how that helps me.
But
Because
yeah, right. You're not getting a paycheck for being the fastest swimmer in the world,
that's right, and
right?
I can't hire anyone from the Olympics unless I want someone to run messages for me real fast or something. But the Olympics of trades is such a no-brainer. Like, I don't understand why every Michelin level restaurant isn't attending. All the top
Yeah,
welding shops should be attending. All the top automotive construction, like all the 82 trades or whatever are there. The who's who of companies should be there, because this is your future right in front of you.
yeah.
Like, these kids, as soon as the competition's over, you should be walking up to them, offering them a job, which I know kind of happens on its
It
own.
it does happen, but I've always liked to say that the Skills Canada national competition specifically is one of the best kept secrets in
Mm-hmm.
Canada, really. And you don't know until you know,
That's right.
right?
That's
Like I
right.
can sit here and talk about it until I'm blue in the face, but until you see that event and feel that energy
Mm-hmm.
on the competition floor, um, yeah, that's when you get hooked.
Yeah, and you're in it for life.
You're in it for life.
And I didn't know much about skills until I became a college professor, and then we got the opportunity to work with skills to get a kid in, and luckily enough, I was there the year of 2019. I got to go to World Skills in Kazan with our welder, and the whole process, the regional skills, then the provincials, and then the national, and then nationals again, because it was an off year, so we had to go again for the second year for the qualifying year to go to
Mhm.
Russia, and And then world skills. Oh my goodness. I thought I'd seen it all. Let me
Yeah, that's something else, isn't it?
and I mean, Canadian national skills is enough to make you giddy for the rest of the year. It's enough to leave you inspired. Like I always say to my friends, like, I don't know how you leave a skills competition without a heart full of inspiration. Like you're just ready for the next year of whatever. But then going to Worlds and realizing that the whole world, you got welders that don't even speak the same language, but
Yep.
they're making best friends from other countries. And you see countries that have billions of dollars to invest in their students. And then you have these countries where, these poor kids are practicing in the back of their, church kitchen for cooking.
Yep.
The donated kitchen from the church to cook. But there they are on the world stage. And oh my God, I'm getting the tingles just thinking about it,
It's remarkable, and it's the same here in Canada as well. You have provinces like Ontario and
Mm-hmm.
Alberta, who are huge provinces.
Huge.
And like I think Ontario has something like 314 high schools. We have 12 here on PEI. We have 12 high schools. So you get that on the national level, but it's very, very obvious at the international level for
Yeah.
sure.
So going back to that national level, every province kind of has their shtick that they know, like when you talk to your competitors, you're like, this one's usually ours. Let's get it again. What are the ones that PEI has kind of been known for to win?
Oh God. We usually do pretty good in the IT competitions,
Okay,
actually.
yeah, good.
So 3D Gamer,
Mm-hmm.
we usually manage to pull a gold home with that one.
Nice.
Photography is another one that we usually do pretty good at. It's so hard to say, Max,
Yeah,
that it's
yeah.
funny because when I have the chaperones and people that travel with the team, and they always ask that question before the closing ceremonies,
Mm-hmm.
which ones do you think we're going to get? And it's like, after 16
You
years,
don't know.
I have learned that it's impossible to guess. It
And it's
really is. You have kids that go in there and they're sure that they're going to be on the podium,
mm-hmm.
and they're not. And then you have other kids who
They thought they
come off
blew
the
it.
competition floor on day 2 and they've got their head hung and they're convinced that they just completely bombed. And the next thing you know, they're being called up on stage to get a medal. So it's impossible to tell, for me anyway.
Well, and I've been a judge a couple times, and it doesn't separate. Like there's not lots that separates one from fourth or second from ninth. Like you're talking decimals. You're talking. I
Yeah.
mean, it's the best of the best. It's like even the worst car at NASCAR is faster than the one I got in the garage, right? Like I mean, it's amazing the level that they've all worked themselves up to, right? Now, in your experience in 16 years, how do you feel the national competition has evolved?
Oh, wow. It's become a beast for sure.
Mm-hmm.
The quality of the competitions, I think, has really improved. The national office has implemented a few different things, like a CIS, which has really leveled the playing field with regard to judging the
Mm-hmm.
competitions. They're all using the same system.
Yeah.
It's just gotten so big. It's just
Yeah.
gotten so large.
Well, and it's opened up other platforms. Like you got the Skills for Success platforms now. You're looking at, other sectors of the industry, like Indigenous groups. Like when we were out at Atlantic Skills, they had Indigenous beading as one of the competitions. And, I just love the diversity that it's bringing, because one of the things that the trades has been, I guess, put itself in a corner for the last 50 years is not being very open to women, immigrants, people of color, and and it has, and I've worked in this industry, so it is true, and
Yeah.
and we're trying to correct that now, and I think that companies like Skills, organizations like Skills, are opening it up to be much more diverse with the kids, which means it's going to be a much more diverse workforce in the future, right?
Absolutely. Well, I can tell you, even this year, our post-secondary welding competition this year, we had 12 students in it, and 8 of them were female.
Amazing. I love that.
Yeah.
I've been waiting for an all-female podium.
Yeah. Well, for the last 3 years, 2 of our 3 medalists at the provincial level have been female.
That's amazing. You should be
So
very proud of that.
it's coming. It's opening. It's, we're getting better.
Yeah.
We are getting better.
And if we can do it with the youth, especially the ambitious youth like Skills, they're going to make waves. They're not going to go out there and just put their head down and be like, "Oh, okay." No, they're going to expect more.
Absolutely. I agree 100%.
Now, what about in terms of, the students, the delegates that you took out? You took out all these students. I'm sure there was some chaperones plus your staff. How many of them had never left the Maritimes? How many of them was like their first trip out?
Well, it's something else that comes into play is the kids that we're seeing now in grade 10, 11, 12, and the college kids that we're seeing now, these are all what we like to call COVID kids, right?
Right.
They spent 2.5 years of their education
At home,
sitting in Zoom calls like this. So I think out of our 36 kids we had on the team this year, there were at least 9 or 10 of them that had never left the island before.
Yeah. How many do you think had never been on a plane?
Oh, I would say about half of them.
And then how many had ever been past Ontario?
And then we fly them to Regina halfway across the country. Like it's really quite an experience for these young people. It really is.
Good. What did you hear back, like feedback from the kids about, the Regina and the trip and the adventure, let's call it?
Actually, funny you asked that. I got a card, an actual handwritten card, believe it or not, from one of the kids, one of the high school competitors last week in the mail. And he wrote, "Thank you so much for the experience.
Mm-hmm.
It has changed my life and I will be back again next year."
That's so awesome.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
How many things can you do in this world where you have that much of an impact in a very short period of time?
That's true. It's like within a few months, really.
On a young person.
Yeah.
So
no one's going to pry you out of that chair for a while is what I'm hearing.
They'll be taking me out by the heels. I'll be,
Well, I've been talking to people in Saskatchewan, we had Al Gabert for over 20 years. And, in other provinces through these interviews, I've been, 26 years, 15 years, 10 years. I love to see that. And then I've seen a few new faces around, which I also, because you got to keep it fresh too, right? You got some new fresh EDs. And I love that they get it already. Like you said, it only takes 1 year, one go around, and then you're like, oh, okay, I see. This is a big deal.
Yeah. And I often compare the whole competition cycle, because we usually hold competitions because we're a small province. They're held over a number of days rather than one day like a lot of the other provinces do. So the competition cycle, usually provincials start the end of March, first week of April. Then we train the team for nationals. Nationals is usually held the end of May. So it's a lot of work congested into a very small period of time. And I joke with my friends that I say it's like childbirth. You forget how painful it is until you're doing it again, but we keep doing it again every year.
Now, as an ED, sometimes you can't even take a break when you're at these competitions to enjoy the competition itself because you're so busy. But I've been asking every executive director the same question, and that is, if you were a spectator, in Regina, what would be the top 3 from, the 1, 2, 3 of what you would love to just, if you didn't have to work it and you say you just were retired and had the whole week off, what would you like to watch from start to finish of a competition? Top 3.
I would have to say landscape design.
Every single year. Everyone has picked landscape.
Even the last 15 minutes of it on day 2, right?
Like, oh my God, you built this?
You know.
It was a pile of dirt yesterday. Where did this come from?
Yeah, and they move those last 15 minutes when that timer starts. So yeah, that's an incredible one to watch. Robotics.
Okay,
not a lot of people pick
robotics. Good, yeah.
like if you knew what went on behind the scenes for the kids that designed and made those robots on their
Mm-hmm.
own in a high school class,
In a high school
like
class, yeah.
the skill and the knowledge there is just mind blowing, and it's really cool to watch. Um, what would be the other one? Cooking, only because I'm a foodie.
Yeah, that was baking and cooking were almost in everyone.
Yeah,
So landscaping and cooking were like the top two for almost everyone, which I found to be so interesting because no one picked welding.
yeah. Well, you can't see anything.
I
Everybody's
know.
behind the curtains.
And cooking, obviously, who doesn't like to eat? And I mean, I still haven't had the pleasure of eating because I'm always so busy working. And I hear people say, "Oh, did you go get taste the whatever's?" It's like, no, I never get to.
Yeah, you and me both, Max. You and me both.
Now, in terms of yourself and your skills, in 16 years, we talk about skills being this event that helps hone kids' skills. We have the essential skills for change network, which is about these, what are the essential skills you need to succeed in life. Now, in your experience with skills in 16 years, what skills have you had to learn to do your job?
Oh, wow. Well, when I started, I had no event management
Right.
background. I had very minimal financial background. Um, but I was a great organizer. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that is what made me successful and what has allowed me to continue. And um, really believing in the organization, I think, is if you don't believe in what you're doing, the work that we do, because it's so like I wear 14 hats in the run of the
Yeah.
year, right? Like I'm HR, I'm the finance guy, I'm the travel agent, I'm the um, doing in-school presentations.
The
Dragging a
psychologist.
I'm dragging a CWB simulator around to events. Like I do it all.
Yeah.
So you have to learn to roll with the punches and just go with the flow. Really.
That's such a big part of it. It's true, and it's hard teaching young people that. Young people get. I always young people love to think that they're so flexible, but mentally they're not. They're very rigid, right? And they get very disappointed if things don't go their way. And it's like you got to let that
Absolutely, they
go.
do.
You got to let that go as you get older and as you start wearing more hats in life. You realize that there's very little you actually can control on this earth. Don't stress it. Do what you can. Make with the best of what you got. Right.
Yep. Yep. And that's what I tell the kids every year, that first morning of competition, because I just know that at least half of them are going to freeze up
Mm-hmm.
that first morning. Their mind is going to go blank.
Yeah.
They're going to completely forget what they're supposed to be doing, even though they've been practicing for 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
So I always say to them, just keep going.
Yeah.
You know, if
Just
you've
keep
forgotten
moving. Yeah.
something, if you did something wrong, the important thing is to just keep going. Yeah.
Now, this year, how did your team do? Like, I mean, you get the luxury of being the only podcast that's after the results came out.
Oh, right.
Everyone else was still on the fence about how they were doing, but let's celebrate. How did PEI do? What were the medals that was brought home? What
Yeah.
happened?
What did we get this year? We got 2D animation. Our 2D animation high school kids got a bronze.
Nice.
Our post-secondary photography got bronze. We got a silver in architectural technology. And yeah, those were the three areas.
Good.
We a bit below what we normally average, about 5-6 medals,
Mm-hmm.
which is great for a small province.
Absolutely.
We all know on a qualifying year that Quebec and Alberta bring out the big guns.
Yeah, the big teams roll out.
Yeah, the big guns come out on a qualifying year for sure.
What?
So pleased with it, and everyone had a positive experience. And to me, that is, don't get me wrong, I love to bring the hardware home, Max.
Mm-hmm.
But having the kids really have a positive experience is so much more important than the medals.
Well,
So
they're
much
all,
more.
and like, I mean, it sounds so cliche. It almost seems silly when you say it, but they really are all winners. because they're like, I mean, it's the best of the best. It's like I always compare it to the real Olympics. I'm a sports guy, so it's like,
Yep.
you know, or like any, like you look at a hockey team. Is anyone on that hockey team actually bad? Like, no, everyone on that hockey team had to play for 20 years at the junior level to work their way up, and even to ride the bench. You're one of the top players in the world just to ride the bench
Yep.
because that's professionals. Now, I see skills the same. You know, you get these students coming in from all over Canada to compete. You already cleared all the benchmarks. You already cleared all the hurdles. You're just here to see if you're going to take some hardware home. But
Yep.
you could be dead last and you're still in the top 10%.
You are still one of the top 10 welders across the country.
Exactly. Like that's
You know,
no
like
joke.
it's just mind blowing when you
Yeah.
think of it in that way.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, what about, you know, the growth of your team or your program there? What are the things that you're looking to strengthen, you know, in the upcoming year or by the next qualifying year?
I would like to really strengthen our training and mentorship program. Um, we have a ton of alumni, former competitors
Mm-hmm.
out there that would like to be involved in the organization. It just would take me, you know, organizing their involvement. Like they
Right.
are an untapped wealth, those alumni and former competitors,
Mm-hmm.
because they've been there. They can tell the upcoming group, you know, what they're going to face better than I can. I've never
Yeah.
competed. So really tapping into that source of skills and knowledge with the alumni. National office is doing a great job. They have the National Alumni Committee that they use every year
Mm-hmm.
at the national event. So doing that. So growth in that. What else? You know, just keeping things on an even keel. It's running a nonprofit organization comes
Mm-hmm.
with, you know, its own special group of challenges and
Yeah.
things like that. You're running into funding and, you know, human resources and all those things. So keeping that all on an even keel. At the end of the year, I sort of do this
Mm-hmm.
when you come out and the bank account balances and everything is, you know.
The
But
CRA is not knocking at your door.
CRA is not knocking at the door. It's always a good year. Um, so a few of the challenges that I see, I would like to grow the team a little bit more. Pre-COVID, we had about 45 kids
Mm-hmm.
that we had on PEI's team. I would like to get us back up to that level. There's a few competition areas that we don't currently compete in that I would like to bring on board: steam fitting, pipe fitting, plumbing. There's a couple in the trades areas that I
Mm-hmm.
would like to see PEI
Just get it
participating
all
in.
rounded out. Yeah.
Yep, yep.
Now,
So there's always something. There's always room for growth.
there's
You
always
know,
room. Yeah.
that, Max.
Yeah.
So everywhere's right.
Now, what about the importance of your local funders and sponsors? You know, how has that changed over the last 16 years, and how critical is it to the maintenance and expansion of your program? You know, because like you said, as a not-for-profit, there's X amount of funding that comes from, you know, headquarters. If you want to go above and beyond that, you got to go out and pound the sand to get it, right?
Yeah.
How are those relationships for you in the community in PEI?
Well, we would be very hard pressed to keep our doors open if it wasn't for Holland College. They support us without question every year in terms of financial and in kind. They support a lot of our volunteers, our instructors from the college. So management of the college always supports their staff to be involved with skills at the provincial and the national level both. You know, some of these NTCs, they're gone for 7-8 days at a national event.
That's right.
So we are very fortunate here in PEI in that the college and a lot of the employers that these NTCs come from support them and, you know, allow them and see the benefit for their staff being involved at the national level. You know, it's free professional development, really, when you look at it that way.
It's huge. Yeah.
Yeah. So Holland College is integral to our success, and they support us without question. the provincial government, again, financial support. We work closely with partnership with apprenticeship here on
Good.
PEI.
Yeah.
So it's great to have that working relationship with them. It's all a juggling act, and
It is.
you're so appreciative of everything that everyone does and the support that you get from organizations locally.
Well, I hope that this podcast hits the airwaves all over PEI, and you got companies knocking on your door saying, "How can we support?" Because
Wouldn't that be lovely?
we want to hire your top 5 of whatever trade it is. So for the people listening, and if you know the PEI area or if you're involved, we're always looking for more people to help support these kids.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
awesome.
You can never have enough good people.
No, never. And the networking is half the game. It's funny. I have to talk to my boss about that all the time because I run the not-for-profit side, and he's always like, "Oh yeah." I'm like, "Hey, I'm on the not-for-profit side. I have to be pounding the sand. Like that's my job."
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, you get it.
yeah,
You totally get it.
Now, to wrap this question or the podcast up, I only got a couple more questions, but this has been fantastic. We talked a little bit about what your favorite, events are to look at, but let's rewrite the script for Tawna, and let's, if we go back in time, and you're just getting out of high school, you're looking to go into a career, and knowing what you know now about all the trades and all these careers that are available and how they go, what would you pick for a trade for the rest of your life, knowing what you know now?
Oh God.
I pulled out all the good ones here.
Yeah. I would probably do either carpentry or welding. And I'm not saying just because I'm sitting here talking to you, Max. I'm not saying that. But it can be, I've seen some people that have, taken welding programs, and they've done some really creative things as welders, like really amazingly creative things. I like building.
Yeah.
I like making things. So it would either be welding or carpentry.
Or both. I mean, they're both a construction trade, really.
Why not?
Yeah.
Both. Why not?
Although,
what about yourself? What about you, Max?
So here's the thing. Like, I got into welding when I was 17. Very young. I did go to university, but I took philosophy because I'm just that person that takes philosophy, I guess. But if I had to redo it all, geez, I'd probably say I'd want to get into teaching.
Okay.
But I did end up being a teacher through welding. So my message, I guess, to the people listening is that you can do it all through the trades, because every trade needs business owners. Every trade needs accountants. Every trade needs, project managers and engineers and people on the floor. The trades don't live in a vacuum, right?
Yeah.
Because even
and the message is, don't put yourself in a silo.
Yeah, that's right.
Like, look at you, you're a 17-year-old welder and wound up being a teacher instructing at the community college. And now here you are, a superstar on the CWB podcast, right?
That's right. And that's the tale, that's the tale, is that and when you get into trades, doors are all around you. You can pick. It's not, you don't got just one door in front of you. You got a corridor, and there's doors in every direction. It's up to you to decide what you want to do with your career, right?
Absolutely. I love
it.
And again, it sounds like a cliche, but there are a lot of opportunities and doors that people can take advantage of, young people.
That's amazing. So you don't have anyone that's working towards the qualifying year in Shanghai. That's unfortunate. It's too bad.
No qualifier for Shanghai.
But next year's a new year, and here we go again.
Here we go again. We love it. We keep coming back for more.
Where is Skills next year? I forgot. I think it's back in Toronto.
We're in Toronto next year, downtown Toronto.
Yeah, that's going to be huge, right?
Yeah,
and we can't let Ontario win all of them, right?
No.
And then after Ontario, I don't know if they've announced what's after that in 2 years.
After that, we're out in Calgary.
Oh, that's right. They got the new convention center there in Calgary.
Yes.
Right. Oh, that's going to be
I
fun.
always enjoy going out west. It's a heck of a trip from PEI, but it's the kids always enjoy it, and the provinces out west always put on a great show.
We love to
So
host.
it's
We
it's
do love to
good.
host. Yeah. We like to show off.
Yeah, yeah. People always ask me when's it coming back to PEI. I said, well, I said at some point I'm going to retire. I said the new executive director can deal with that if she likes.
Well, the problem with skills is a double-edged sword is that it's grown so big that it can only be hosted in certain areas now. I remember
Yep,
when it was able to do much smaller venues because it was half the size. Now at the size, it's really only 4 or 5 locations in all of Canada that could even host it.
that's right. That's right.
Yeah,
But it's a good problem to have,
it is.
right?
It is a good problem to have. Awesome. Well,
So,
is there any last pieces of information you'd like to let people know about Skills PEI? Perhaps how to get involved with Skills PEI or how to find information about your group?
you can check out our website. We're on all the socials. Our website is just www.skillscanada.pe.ca. We're on Facebook under Skills Canada, Prince Edward Island. So yeah, either one of those, you can reach out to us. We're always happy to hear from people.
Awesome. So if you're in the area, if you're out east, make sure you volunteer, give a helping hand, offer to mentor, visits, whatever it is. Any help is useful. Suppliers and vendors out there, again, don't forget about gift in kind. That's a huge thing. Donations of consumables and materials and PPE is massive cost for all these skills organizations, and that's something that I know is sometimes forgotten in the books. But safety glasses can get expensive,
Yeah,
and we
absolutely.
need a lot of
Everything's
them.
expensive
Yeah,
these days. We know that.
that's right. Well, thank you
So
so
yeah, every little bit helps for sure.
absolutely. Well, thank you very much for being on the show today. I really appreciate it. I had a wonderful conversation. I wish I would have met you here in Regina. I would have brought you out with all the welders for some drinks, but
Oh
next
my
time.
God,
Next time.
that would have been a time. Well, hopefully I'll get a chance to see you maybe next year in
I
Toronto.
will be there. We'll be there with the
And
podcast and the whole road show.
excellent. So thanks very much for chatting and the opportunity to speak with you today, Max.
Awesome. Thanks, Donna. And for the
Okay.
people that have been following along on the show, make sure you check out all the episodes. We did, I think, 14 in total, 15 episodes in total for skills this year. There's a whole series. So if you caught this one in randomly, check them all out, learn a little bit about every province and territory. And also, thank you for downloading and sharing and commenting on our podcast and for keeping us where we are. But we'll catch you at the next episode.
We hope you enjoy the show.